Horizon Zero Dawn is one of the most anticipated games of early 2017. And now that it's out though, did it live up to expectations? Or is it just another game with a lot of hype that just ends up being a disappointment? Horizon Zero Dawn is a game that has a lot of parts that will remind you of other big-name titles that have been released in the last few years. But what ends up making it stand out truly is the world that's created throughout the game and its storytelling. It's an open-world action-adventure game that takes place in the future in a world where the human race has been wiped out, and all that's left are tribes of people trying to carry on. There's the whole mystery of what happened before. Technology from the past still exists in some forms, and there's a whole series of mechanical animals that roam the earth. The story in the game, which I won't spoil too much about, is all revolving around a girl named Aloy, who is an outcast from one of the tribes in this world, and has no idea about her past. She is raised by a guardian and taught the skills to survive and hunt and all those sorts of things, with her main goal really being to try to figure out where she came from. So she sets off to become a brave warrior, thus she could enter a ritual for that same tribe that abandoned her, so that she can become a member of the tribe and hopefully find out more about her past. From that point on, you will run into other tribes and the other members of the society that has remained over, along with exploring a pretty vast world filled with different locations and battling a whole bunch of not only human enemies, but of course the mechanical creatures themselves, which there is actually a good variety of. The game will probably instantly remind you of a lot of other modern open world games such as the Far Cry series, with just the way the entire map looks. In fact, first time I opened it up, it even reminded me directly of the more recent Far Cry Primal. And the gameplay itself, from the third-person perspective, with a lot of climbing and platforming, reminded me of the Assassin's Creed series, though there isn't quite as much parkour involved, and jumping off of tall buildings will usually end Aloy dying instead of landing in a hay barrel. The game features a lengthy main quest with a few different branching paths of it where you'll have multiple sides of the main quest to go through, though you have to complete everything in order to eventually get to the game's end mission. So this is the only time there's really kind of like any artificial walls in the game. There's a lot of storytelling and it's all done extremely well. There's some great voice acting, and overall, while the plot, you may kind of figure out how things are going and what eventually the outcome may end up being, it's all done extremely well, and you feel for the different characters. There was a lot of unlikable ones early on for me, since of course your main character is an outcast, so not too many people are going to like you. But the farther you get in, you definitely end up meeting a lot more likable characters, and end up feeling sorry for some of the ones that may have harmed you in the past. Besides the main quest, there is a lot in this open world that will take you many hours in order to complete everything. There's a good amount of collectibles, which you can buy maps that give you the locations of these certain things. Instead of like climbing a tower or vantage point, instead what you're able to do is climb up these giant creatures, these giraffe-like robots, get to the top of them, and then end up corrupting them at the top, taking them over and being able to see the vast area around this particular creature. There's bandit camps for you to take out where your goal is going to be going in, take out every single one of the characters, and then turn it into a friendly location for you and various allies. There's also cauldrons, or basically these underground areas of the old world where you get to go through the old technology, explore the ruins, and find out more about the lore. There's hunting grounds to complete specific tasks for certain characters, and a few other things for you to dive into. There is a good variety to the weapons. Each weapon has multiple different types for you to find around the world that have increased stats. You can put modifiers on the weapons. Each weapon has a few different slots, and of course, better weapons have more slots to put more modifiers on them. Unfortunately, once you attach a modifier, you can't take it off of that particular weapon, but there are a lot of these modifiers to find. It'll increase damage, handling, or other status effects like fire damage or ice damage. While easily my favorite weapons in the game was the bows, the short bow and the long bow, and I use these throughout most of the game. There's also a few other different weapon types you can get with a more modern feel, like trap guns and rope guns to trip up enemies, and you also have like heavy weapons that you'll get in certain battles. They're limited use, of course, because you have to take out an enemy and then pick it up, and you can only use it while you're walking around for a little bit, but those are easily some of the best weapons and funnest moments in the game for sure, especially in larger battles. Combat always felt right though dodge rolling sometimes wasn't always the best, though you can get an upgraded version of the dodge roll in the skill tree amongst all the other different types of skills. Stuff that you would expect, like being able to sneak around a little bit better, or certain moves like being able to do the sneak attack from above or below, and of course increase damage overall. The way that health is handled though, since there isn't an auto heal, is done in two ways. You can either have straight up potions that you can use in order to heal up your health, or you can actually fill up an herb meter, and basically when you fill that up you can use it at any time and it'll fill up your health with how much of the herb meter you currently have filled. So basically replacing 1 meter with your health meter, so you can get that quick increase in health, and it'll keep going up. So even if you're taking damage while you're using the herb, it'll keep using the herbs until you end up running out of it. So I thought this was a really cool way to overall do the health system. One thing that was a minor inconvenience I wasn't as big a fan of was the way that fast traveling was handled. There's a ton of campfires throughout the world, and once you activate a campfire, you can fast travel to that location at any point using the map. However, you have to use one-time use fast travel items. It doesn't take too long in the game for you to get the ability to get the unlimited fast travel, so it was a minor inconvenience, but still, I just wish they would have just had flat-out unlimited fast travel right from the get-go. The things that make Horizon Zero Dawn, though, as unique and fun as it is in the variety of the different animal types. There's a whole bunch of different ecosystems kind of going on. You have jungle, forest, deserts, and snowy mountain peaks. And they have a different set of creatures and animals in each of these. They all act differently, have their own kind of patterns to them, have different weak points on their bodies for you to take out, and will provide different items if you're able to take out some of these. And some of the battles with these can be really, really intense. Especially the flying creatures, as well as like the killer alligators, and then of course the bigger demon-like mechs you'll have to deal with later on in the game. One thing though that really helps in the battles and just the overall exploration of everything is the focus that you have. Basically this little machine you get early in the game, and it ends up working kind of like Batman's detective skill stuff from the Arkham series, where you can see the enemies through the walls and kind of see like their heat, and you can tag them through the wall so you know exactly where they're going to be. And the same goes with the animals, including being able to track their paths, like how they're going to be walking and the directions they're going to be walking and taking, as well as their weak points. You can't attack in this mode, so you have to come out of it in order to do things, but just having that ends up adding just an extra little cool feature to the overall combat, which is really solid. From the technical side of things, the game ran smoothly. I didn't run into any major glitching, though there was some clipping issues, like a couple of times walking down slopes I ended up having my legs go through, as well as there was a bunch of texture pop-in, basically changing scenes or going to different areas and all of a sudden like the texture was kind of like pop in, or if the camera pulled out, things were kind of like popping in and out. But it was really minor stuff overall. It didn't really take me out of the experience, and throughout playing the game for over 20 hours at this point, it hasn't crashed on me once. I will also say that this game is gorgeous. In fact, one of the best looking games on the PlayStation 4. I don't know if it quite impressed me as much as Uncharted 4 did last year, but it's still an absolutely gorgeous looking game. Overall, Horizon Zero Dawn is a great game. Aloy as a character really ends up growing, maturing throughout the game, and really ends up shining as a main protagonist in a video game. And just the overall cutscenes and the storytelling in general was one of the reasons I wanted to keep playing, wanted to see that next cutscene and continue that main quest. It's not perfect though, and did have a few issues. There were some problems I thought with the camera because of the way it was positioned when it came to certain platforming segments. And there was actually a lot more platforming than I thought there was going to be in the game. It did work fine. I was actually surprised at how well the platforming ended up working, especially when it comes to hit detection, of being able to hit that next little ledge and be able to quickly scale up large mountains as long as you were looking at the right areas for the next handhold. I do wish though there was a bit more variety that made Horizon Zero Dawn stand out even more. You had the unique setting, you had great storytelling, but a lot of the gameplay does feel like it's been done a couple of times before with other modern open world games. With everything said though, I'm going to be giving Horizon Zero Dawn an 8 out of 10. But anyway guys, it's going to wrap up this review. I'd like to thank you for watching, and of course I hope you enjoyed.